How were you even introduced to the Johnny Depp case?
So I've been working with Johnny for the last 4.5 years.
Okay.
Before this case came about, I worked with him he had some other litigation in California. He sued his former business managers in a business litigation matter, and then he sued his former lawyers for a legal malpractice matter. So through those engagements, I developed a relationship with him. And truth be told, I didn't think that filing this lawsuit was a good idea.
Oh, wow.
But it was an incredibly personal lawsuit for him, and hopefully the last lawsuit he has to engage in. But it was obviously very personal, and after it was filed, he approached me along with my partner, Ben Chu, and asked if I would join the team. And I was one of the few women on the team, and I really think that this case called for a woman's perspective.
Absolutely.
And in the strategy, and then obviously in the examinations of certain witnesses. So it was really my honor to be able to represent him in this matter because it was so personal to him.
Absolutely. And some of the other podcasts and things I've read about as well, it sounds like the firm even really wanted you this due to some of your leadership capabilities. So what do you think are your biggest strengths as a leader?
Well, I think to be a leader, right, you're part of a team. And you can't underestimate that. I mean, anyone that saw the trial understands the amount of preparation and teamwork required. This wasn't just me, right? It took me staying up till 4 a.m, getting 2 hours of sleep, and having the rest of the cross-examination outline put under my door in a hotel. That's teamwork, right? I mean, that's what it really requires. So I think my favorite thing is being able to work together with people that I respect and that I like. I think in this profession, it's hard to find sometimes people that, I mean, you can find really smart, intelligent, good lawyers, but people that are good lawyers but also really good people.
Right.
I think that's harder to find, and I found that in my teamwork that we pulled it off. I mean,
Absolutely.
We were a bunch of relatively young associates, right? I mean, I was an associate up until this summer, so we were a relatively young group of associates that banded together and did this major case.
Absolutely. And speaking of those late nights and the 2 hours of sleep, I think this is obviously a room of entrepreneurs. People can relate to that. I've been there, I've done that. How did you manage the stress through all of that?
I don't know that I managed it. I think I just kind of didn't even realize what was happening. It's like you kind of go into a routine where you have no other option but to work really, really hard and survive. Obviously the cameras were there, but in a lot of ways we forgot about them. But I think for me and for probably my team members as well, we just didn't want to embarrass ourselves in front of the whole world.
Yes.
So it really inspired us to work that much harder, right?
Oh, for sure. You were
be
literally
prepared
under probably every bit of thing was just getting examined, and microscopes and all of that. So for anyone in the room who's not familiar with the case, because I think it's 300 million viewers I think were on this. Can you give
crazy numbers?
I mean, it's literally OJ. It went from that to OJ. So can you just give a very high level of what this case was even about?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a defamation case that we filed in Virginia. It was based on an op-ed that Johnny Depp's ex-wife, Amber Heard, wrote for the Washington Post, where she stated and implied that she was a victim of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and through that, and I'm going to kind of go back to the leadership side of it, because like you said, it takes a team. And that is one thing I will preach about forever, because you're nothing without your team, basically. But what would you say are your biggest challenges as a leader?
Well, I think the responsibility and the pressure, that knowing that people are looking to you, right, to be that example, to have the answers. I think that is a tremendous amount of responsibility that you have. And it's not just your team, but it's also the client, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this was his opportunity to tell his story, right? Finally, 6 years in the making. And this was, as I said at the outset, an incredibly personal case for him. This was something he couldn't speak about for 6 years, ever since these allegations were first made. So that responsibility and knowing that I was leading the charge with my partner, Ben Chu, I didn't take that lightly.
Yeah. And is there a moment of the case or trial or anything that is like the most memorable to you, or a moment that stood out the most?
There's a lot. I mean, I think the cross-examination of Amber Heard was something that I will never forget. But I do watch sometimes clips of it, and I'm like, is that me? I think that as trial lawyers, we go into a zone, right?
It's like you black out.
Yeah, and it's you zone in, and it's a dance, right? I really feel like it's a dance, and it's about active listening, and I can't underestimate that enough, right? You have to listen to the answers. Right, the questions are obviously important, and you want the jury at the end of the examination to be listening more to the questions than even the answers. But in order to pivot and to ask the right questions, I think you have to listen to the answers. She gave me a lot of material to work with because I was listening.
Yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely. And did you doubt yourself at all through this case?
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. Yes. I mean, this was...
How did you deal with that? Because it's already, like you said, it's a challenge already. You're a woman in this industry. You're already underestimated. So how do you mentally overcome that?
Just work harder than everyone else in the room.
Yeah.
You just go back to basics. I don't know that there is a substitute for working hard.
Right.
I mean, you just have to be that much more prepared.
I agree with that, and I know that was probably instilled in you at a very young age, just as it was for me, so I understand that. Did you ever consider that losing this case was an option?
That's a great question. This might sound strange, but no.
Okay.
I know it's a defamation case. I know it was an impossible case to win, a lot of people said. But I knew that we were on the right side of it. I believed him emphatically. I had no question in my mind that he did not do this. Right? Was he a perfect person? No, no one is. Did he have his own struggles? Absolutely, like we all do. But did he commit domestic violence in this relationship or in any other relationship? No, and I believed him. So, no, I didn't ever think we could lose.
Yeah.
If we executed the strategy appropriately and the way that we had put it together.
Yeah.
So I thought if things went the way that we had planned for them to go, there was no other option but a verdict in our favor.
Right, right. And how has this changed your life? I mean, in so many ways, I would say, like, were you ready for the attention that was going to come?
No.
No.
I mean, it's one thing to represent a celebrity, right? I mean, they obviously get attention. They're celebrities, right? He's an actor, he's a musician. But we never ever imagined that this would turn into attention for the lawyers.
Right, right.
I mean, other than the O.J. Simpson case, right? There had never really been a case where the lawyers got this much attention.
Right.
So, it's dramatically changed my life, but mostly for the better. I mean, there's a lot less anonymity
yes,
that I have to kind of deal with now, but, and I'm kind of a shy person. I enjoy, my alone time.
Yes.
As I like to say. But yeah, I think, again, with great privilege comes great responsibility, and I take this new role and these new opportunities that I have seriously.